Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. I hope you're all doing well. Today I thought it would be fun to make some little party favors or maybe some gifts for some friends. So let's go ahead and get started. So these are the little mini notebooks from Lawn Fawn. You get 2 in a pack. And these 2 are from the Perfectly Pink collection. You can see you have the little banners up on the top of each of the pages there and the little hearts on this one. So we're going to kind of coordinate these. So the first thing we want to do is start with some Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. And I've cut this 9 inches by 2.5 inches. And I've cut 2 of those. And those are going to be the belly band that goes around the little notebook. So from the Valentine borders, I'm going to take that little scallopy dot one. And I want to die cut both edges of this 9-inch panel. And I want to make sure the cut line is facing towards the outer edge. And then I'm going to tape that down with a little bit of purple tape. I'm going to run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine. And you'll see that it cuts a beautiful scallop border here. But this die isn't long enough, so we're going to need to die cut this one more time. So I'm going to line up 2 of those little scallops, and it's going to lock right into place there. So just position it around till it locks into place, and then I'm going to continue cutting the rest of this. So I'm just taping it down to the acrylic block here, and then I'm going to run that through. Now that will have put a scallop edge along the entire 9-inch panel here. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to do the exact same thing for the other side. So now I'm just going to poke out all those little dots there. Now I need the word happy birthday from the happy, happy, happy sentiment set and the coordinating happy die from the coordinating die set. So I've placed those on my acrylic block. I've got the happy birthday there. And I'm going to be using some guava ink. And this is from the little mini ink pad set. And this is called Front Porch. But you can also get that guava ink pad in a full-size pad as well. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp. And I'm going to be stamping on a little bit of an angle here. It just makes it easier to do the stamping. And then I'm going to kind of alternate the stamp just to make it look a little bit more random here and continue to stamp up this entire panel. And so now that we have that filled in, I'm going to take my sponge dauber and the guava ink and I'm going to edge both sides of this belly band. And now for the second one, I'm going to be using the liquid Stardust and my guava ink pad, and I'm going to place some of that ink down on my glass media mat. I want to shake up this liquid Stardust really well. Then I'm going to put it right over top of that ink that we put on our mat because I want to tint this liquid Stardust to sort of that guava color. So I've spritzed it also with a little bit of water, and then I'm going to spatter this all over this panel. And it's going to give us this beautiful pinky, silvery, glittery effect on the panel. It's just beautiful. So once I've done that, I'm going to take my heat tool and I'm just going to heat set that really quickly. And you can see that beautiful sparkle that we get. So going back to my little sponge dauber, I'm going to go down both sides of this panel as well. So now you can see that I have both of my little belly bands colored in, but now I need to score them. So I'm going to score at 2 3/4 and 2 5/8 on both sides. I'm going to flip it around. So 2 5/8 and 2 3/4. And that's just going to give us just a little bit there to wrap it around the sides of the little notebook here. Maybe like a 1/16 of an inch there. And what I do like about that We Are Memory Keepers trim and scoreboard that I'm using is you do get those measurements right at the top, so you don't have to guess what they are. It's marked right on the on this tool here. So now, instead of doing that, if you don't like dealing with the measurements and all, just wrap it right around. Just hold it in place, make sure it's nice and straight, and then just push it right around those edges, and that will work just fine as well. The only thing you want to be careful of is that you don't wrap it too tight. You want to be able to slide it on and off. So now with my 1/4 inch double-sided tape, I'm just going to go ahead and attach this belly band together here. So I'm going to put tape there and there. I really just need 2 strips of the tape here. I'm going to remove the backing from that tape, and then I'm going to attach this together. And in this case, I am trying to line up those little scallops, but that's not necessary. Just make sure that you get it securely attached. And then I like to use the bone folder just to make sure everything's pressed down nicely. So we're going to do the same thing for this second one here, just adding our double-sided tape just to the ends. And then I'm just going to remove that backing and attach these together. And you do want to make sure it's nice and straight. Again, using the bone folder just to press things out. So now that I have my new 2 notebooks ready, I'm going to take my cilantro cardstock from Lawn Fawn, and I'm going to take the second largest die from both of these die sets. And then I'm also going to be using some Strathmore Bristol Smooth paper. For the dies, we're going to be using the outside-in stitched scallop circle stackables and the outside-in stitched circle stackables. So I want the scallop one on the green cilantro cardstock and the plain one on the white. Now we're going to do the same thing with the hearts for our second little notebook. We're going to do the scallop heart out of the green and the non-scallop heart out of the white. And these are the lacy heart stackables and the outside in stitched heart stackables. So I'm going to go ahead and run all of these through my die cutting machine. So now you can see those are going to sit right inside each of these scallop pieces. But first what I want to do is go back to that guava ink and my little dauber, and I'm going to go all the way around the edges of the circle and the heart as well. So now that those are all set, I want to do some stamping on this. So this is the happy birthday that we used before to do the belly band. I'm removing the word birthday, and then I'm going to the guava cardstock. This again is a 100-pound cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up just the word happy. I want to ink it really well, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. So it's kind of going to give us a little bit of a tone-on-tone effect here. And then I'm going to use the die, the coordinating die that I showed you earlier from the Happy, Happy, Happy set. And I'm going to line that die up. I'm going to tape it down with a little bit of purple tape and run that through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. So you can see there that we get that little bit of two-tone look there. So now I'm going to stamp the word birthday underneath here. So I'm just going to take happy off my acrylic block and put the word birthday there. I want to make sure that it's nice and straight. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink that up and stamp that. And I have not glued down the word happy yet because I just want to check the placement before I do that. And then once that looks good, I'm going to go ahead and stamp. So now that I like where that is, I'm going to go ahead and glue the word happy into place. And I'm using the glue tube. And then I'm just going to let that dry. Once that's dry, I'm going to go ahead and put glue all around this circle and then position that right in the center of this scallop. And I did use the glue here just to give me a little time to move it around. And I'm using a clean piece of scrap paper just to press that in place. I'm going to do the same thing here for the little heart. Just centering that and gluing it down. So now I'm going to take the candy hearts from Lawn Fawn. And I'm going to grab the solid one, and you could grab any of these others. They say smile, cutie, XOXO, hugs, but we're going to use the word smile. And I'm going to die cut the solid one from the guava cardstock and the word smile from the white Bristol Smooth cardstock. And again, I'm running these through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. Now you'll see that did die cut the word smile, and we could save those little letters for another project. We don't need them for now. And now I'm going back to my little sponge dauber, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Just go all the way around this little heart. And then I'm going to glue these two together. And I'm going to let that dry. Once that's dry, I can go ahead and attach it to this larger heart. And I'm going to place it up towards the top here. I'm not centering it. I kind of want it up towards the top because we need room to put our little roses there at the bottom. So now I've got guava cardstock and cilantro, and I'm going to die cut my rolled roses. And I need one of the large rows and two of the smaller ones, and then a whole bunch of those little leaves. So I went ahead and die cut everything. And now I'm using my Sizzix foam pad and my little sculpting tools here. And I'm going to grab that one with the ball tip. It has a larger ball tip and a smaller one. I am using the smaller one here, and I'm just going to go ahead and I just want to break down the fibers of this paper a little bit. So I'm going all the way around each of these little scallops, just pressing it into the foam mat here. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm applying a decent amount of pressure here. I want to make sure again that I kind of break down the fibers of the paper since this is a 100-pound cardstock. I want to loosen it up a little bit so it'll be easier to manipulate this when we go to make our little rose here. So the way I like to do it is to clamp down with my tweezers right at the very end, and then I don't move the paper, I move my tweezers. I just turn it kind of like a crank, and I just keep turning it, trying to keep the straighter edge of the rose lined up at the bottom there, not the scallop side, but the straighter side. And I try to just keep checking that to make sure it's flat. And then I keep rolling it till I get to the middle. And then I can remove the tweezers, just pull that right out of there, and just kind of pinch the rose together, and then let it go loosely. Just let it unwind, just holding on to it and letting it unwind very gently. Now I can take my Ranger multi-medium mat and put a nice big dab of that there at the bottom, and then close that little tab up. And you do want to hold on to this for a little while until it sets. So it is going to take a few minutes for that to set. So I wanted to show you this again. So I'm using the ball end of the tool here to press this out. I'm just kind of rubbing it till I break down the fibers of the paper a little bit. Then I'm flipping it over and doing the same thing on the other side. And this just makes it a lot easier to roll this. Now I'm pinching the end, squeezing that, and then I'm going to turn the tweezers, not my paper. Just turn the tweezers and keep rolling that. And I do want to keep checking that the non-scallop side of the rose is lined up. Just keep working that. You could certainly just roll this with your fingers if you find it easier. A lot of people do. I just prefer using my little tweezers. It does take a little practice, so don't get frustrated. Just do a few, just practice a little bit till you get used to it. I've made hundreds and hundreds of little roses like this, so for me it's pretty easy at this point. And then put a little dab of glue on that little tab at the end and hold on to that. And when you release it, just release it enough till you get the size rose that you want. And again, that takes a little bit of practice. Now using my tweezers, I'm just going in and I'm going to fold back or roll back some of the petals on this rose. And this is pretty easy to do. You want to make sure that you get right in there and don't worry too much. The paper is actually a lot more durable than you think. So just kind of come in at it on an angle and just start rolling those little petals back. And you can see that adds a lot more realism to your little roses when you do that. So just take your time here. I tend to make a lot of these all at once, so I'll just make a whole grouping of these in different colors, and then I put them in a little container and I just have them ready to go. When I just need a little something on a card, I can just throw it on there and I don't have to sit and make these. These are fun just to sit and play with. If you're I find if I'm in sort of a creative lull, this is a good thing to just pull out and just get a bunch of these made and ready to go. And I find this very relaxing. So again, just kind of keep working those little petals until you get it the way you like it. And you can even do it on in the center there. Just kind of squeeze that in a little bit. So I went ahead and did all three of these. Now for the little leaves, first we're going to do, I'm going back to these roses real quick because I wanted to show you that I also like to add a little bit of ink. This is the Hero Hues Unicorn White Pigment Ink. And what I like to do is just take my foam applicator tool and just add a little white all around the tops of those petals. It makes it look like the light is reflecting there. It just gives them a lot more dimension. And what you could also do is dip them in a little bit of white embossing powder after you do this and heat set that. And that also adds another bit of dimension as well. We're not going to do that today. The next thing we're going to do is use the freshly cut grass ink pad. And we're going to just ink up these little leaves just a little bit, just adding a little depth down here at the bottom of the leaves. It just takes a second or two to do these. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of my little petals. So now you can see those are done. Now what I want to do is sculpt these a little bit as well. So I'm using the smaller ball tip on this and I'm just running it right down the center there. But you can also use this little sculpting tool and it has like a little scoop on the end and you can use that to just run it right down the center like that. And that'll just lift the petals up just a little bit. And then just kind of squeeze down the center once you've done that. And that'll, again, give a little more dimension. And I went ahead and did all of those little petals the same way. So now we have everything ready to go. So going back to my happy birthday circle, I'm going to attach this to my belly band. And I'm going to put some Scotch foam mounting tape here. And I don't want it at the very top or the bottom because that is going to be hanging over the belly band just a little bit. Now I'm just going to center it and position that down. Now I can go ahead and arrange my little flowers and leaves on here. Now I like to use the Ranger Multi-Medium Matte Glue to do this because it's a super strong adhesive and it dries nice and clear. So I'm going to just set those down. You want a nice, good dot of glue there to make sure they stay in place, especially since this is going to be moved around a lot and you're sliding it on and off the little belly band. So you want to use enough glue here. And then while it's still wet, I'm able to kind of move things around here and manipulate the glue a little bit. So I'm just tucking things into place. And I did go ahead and cut that double set of leaves in half. So you do want to add a variety of sizes of the leaves. So I've got some of the small and some of the larger ones. And I'm just going to tuck that last one in here. And then I do want to let this sit and dry. Give it a good 10 minutes or so to let that dry. Now for the heart-shaped one, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the foam mounting tape. Again, avoiding the top and the bottom of the heart. And then I'm centering that. And I'm going to do the same thing here for my little roses. And I just find this part to be so much fun. I love just putting these into place once they're all done. And don't forget that all the supplies and products that I've used today are listed below, and they're also listed on my blog. Looks pretty good there. I'm just going to add one more little leaf down here at the bottom. And you could keep going with this. It's always my biggest problem is knowing when to stop. Now I'm going to use the Sparklettes embellishments, and these are from Buttons Galore and More. And this one's the pink flamingo, and these are the crystal hearts. So I'm just going to grab two of those little hearts, and I'm going to place those right up here at the top of each of the hearts. And it's just going to add a little dimension without adding any more color here. And I'm going to use the Marvy Jewel Picker just to pick these up. Just makes it a little bit easier. It has a sticky end on it, and it just allows you to pick up these little gems and sequins very easily. For this one from that pink flamingo embellishment set, I'm just using these little crystal embellishments, and I'm just going to use 3 of them. And again, not adding color, just adding a little interest and sparkle here. So you've got this cute little notebook. These would just make great gifts for anybody. Little party favors, just gifts for your lunch friends or your crafty friends. Little shower favors. I just love these. I've made a few more that I'll show you here in a second. This is the happy birthday one, and you can see it up close. And you just see how beautiful those little roses are. And then for this one, again, we've got the 2 little hearts on there and that beautiful spattering that we did to give us a little bit of shimmer on that. And then I did want to show you, this one I did with the word hugs, and that's from that same Candy Hearts die set that we used earlier. And then for this one I did happy thoughts because I thought it would be fun just to have a little journal notebook to put some, I don't know, just everything you're grateful for, especially during the times we're going through right now. Just thought it would be nice to have a little place to write the things that we're most grateful for. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. And as always, thank you so much for joining me today. Please stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.